Radio in motion program loading in 3, 2, 1. Program activated.
Attention everyone, the unpleasant noise you are about to hear coming from your radio is not a mistake.
Okay, first things first, what is your name?
This is Big Sonny playing the best of the 90s and beyond.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah. Radio in motion.
Please do not turn off your radio, but turn up the volume on your receiver as high as it can go.
All right, ready, here we go.
Radio in motion.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Thanks for joining me tonight on Radio Motion's 90s Rocks. Like I said, there's nothing better to warm you up than the warmth and a nice warm hug of nostalgia. And that's definitely 90s nostalgia tonight. But first up, we're going to have another episode of The Ugly Truth. And the truth can be ugly, but it can set you free. But for some, I think they just want to say, they're trapped in their world of lies. And tonight I'm going to touch on always the touchiest subject, which is the pandemic and the COVID vaccine. And of course, no matter what you say, the minute you mention vaccine, and if you don't say it's safe and effective and I'm behind it and I'm all about it, you're immediately an anti-vaxxer, even though everything I'm going to say has nothing to do with that. It's just about trying to find the facts about something that I don't care if it happened years ago or it will be a decade from it. It has an effect on our lives and, in fact, generations to come. And like many things, I feel like those who should be held accountable never will be. So tonight I want to talk about apparently the new FDA chief. That's in America, the Food and Drug Administration. And the new chief says that the Biden administration lied about the dangers of COVID vaccine. Now, for me, that's just hilarious because that stuff I knew 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago. So, for everyone, again, when you have, like I always do on any podcast I've had, an honest and open debate about facts, and I'm always happy to have those facts debated. And if you find that those facts are wrong, let's talk about that. But it's when, people just blindly follow something and they don't want to hear the facts because it will just, completely destroy their world. And I can't help that. The facts don't care about your feelings. So it was part of, and this is directly from the press conference. I'm not going to play it because my YouTube clips get ratioed enough when I play anything having to do with COVID, God forbid. But apparently, and this is what he said, it was part of the Biden medical establishment censorship complex because any information that related to complications of the vaccines or vaccine injuries, it was considered COVID vaccine hesitant content, and so it was censored or blocked. Again, that's not news to me. That's known, or it was slow walked, and so we now have tragically have this information that, especially things like the heart inflammation that occurred, especially in young, healthy men and boys and others. And that was not disclosed as soon as it should have been. And as a result, there's probably thousands of kids who probably, had complications with myocarditis and pericarditis, linking to the vaccine. And no one wants to talk about it. So yeah, that's the new head, Marty McCrory of the FDA. I think that sounds reprehensible, don't you think? It's just the sound of that. And I think there's so many. Again, the minute I start talking about it, I'm an anti-vaxxer. But the fact is that they knew ahead of time before they released the COVID vaccine of the possible side effects for young men and others. So yeah, that's A. And B, that it didn't stop the transmission, despite them constantly. I think there's still a YouTube clip up there, cracks me up, saying, you get the vaccine, you get one shot, it stops with you, and you're the reason that we're spreading the virus. No, that wasn't true. So they suppressed the information about the damage it can do in children, and in terms of myocarditis and pericarditis. So again, that's the information that's coming out now, and reporters are all, I didn't know that. Did you know that? I had no idea, and I never even asked. I just, I assumed. The mainstream media bugs me because they're complicit in everything, and that they just get their standard questions, and if they, deviate that from anyway, they're worried about losing their connection to getting into the White House or getting the big stories. And to me, that is where journalism has died, and we are lost, because there is no true journalist who's willing to bet his reputation on losing it all. Because, and I get it, we all have bills to pay, we all have mortgages, we don't want to get canceled. But unfortunately, if you choose that career as an actual journalist, you follow the truth wherever it leads. And I don't think that's happening. It's certainly not happening in mainstream media, or God forbid, the nightly news. Oh, those guys are a crack up. So I want to talk about some of the things that used to annoy me, is talking about the speed of science. So many people in the medical community will forgive everyone who made decisions because it was the speed of science. We had to do this quickly because of the COVID pandemic. No, I'm not a COVID pandemic denier. I'm also not an anti-vaxxer, but I'm just talking about the facts within what actually happened and what does actually shape and define a pandemic. But the speed of science annoyed me. So let's. Oh, and the other one was, we own the science. Oh, my Lord. And yes, you can look up, that phrase was used. We own the science. Nobody owns the science. And as far as science, people blindly following that as truth, let me tell you what the core and the spirit of science is. Science every day wants to be proved or disproved. It is, all these people in these labs and universities, they're even trying to, constantly, disprove the theory of relativity. That's the point. And so it has to be questioned. Science is questioned until it's solidified as, okay, we are 98% there based on our myriad of questions. Science is meant to be questioned, not followed like a religion. Okay, that was the other thing that I think happened, during COVID. It was just, followed like a religion, and it's not. So I'm framing the core argument here. This has nothing to do about vaccines in general. There are medications in this world, and I know that science and the medical community, and we live in such an amazing time that people are being saved by science and saved by medications. Nothing to do with that. What my core argument is this is not anti-vaccine. This is about pro-informed consent, okay, which we weren't. And I've seen all the sheets that everyone signed when they got the COVID vaccine, including me. It didn't say crap. Plus, everyone knows that, Big Pharma and Pfizer and vaccinations are the only thing in the world that you can't sue, because the minute you get one, they're like, well, hey, you got it. It was you consented. Not if we weren't fully informed on what it was and what was happening to us and what the known side effects were. So the problem wasn't just about speed of science. It was about coercion, concealed data, and systematic silencing of dissent. And that's a fact. And again, I think for those who never really looked, maybe now you will be surprised. I'm not surprised, because I haven't been surprised for years. I already saw this. I already saw other, reports and doctors coming out, and they were worried that their livelihood, their entire career was going to be wiped out. And frankly, many of them were. They're all kooks. They're crazy. You don't question the government. Never question the government. Oh, my Lord. Are you kidding? So that's number one. This is about coercion. This is about being informed. And number two, this is about mRNA vaccines. Again, nothing to do with vaccines that are tried and true, nothing to do with medications that save us. Okay, I know something about this, having to rely on something, and it's part of your life, and I do believe in that. There are medications that saves life, but this is about a messenger RNA vaccine that, frankly, to this day, I call it's the experimental vaccine, okay? And for all those that say, they've been around for ages, but it wasn't promoted like that, and nobody knew that, and they never talked about it. Pfizer and Moderna's mRNA vaccines were rolled out under the emergency use authorization. So, didn't need full FDA approval. Again, speed of science. But I'll get into why, again, I'm annoyed at why something was so quickly forced on us when, in fact, frankly, for normal, healthy adults, it wasn't even needed. Oh, now I'm going to get canceled. Oh, 100%. So, the average vaccine, just to let you know, takes years of testing, and the mRNA, tech was released in under a year. Again, I get it. Everyone's going to tell you, well, there were millions were dying. I'll get into that in a second, too. And then traditional safety and testing protocols were bypassed or accelerated, all under the mantra of warp speed. And again, you'll say, well, it was needed. It was a pandemic. People were dying. The people who are dying isn't exactly who you think were actually dying of it. Okay. So number 3, concealed or downplayed side effects. That's a fact. And more will come out. And also, they do this whole thing where they suppress the data for decades, and which is disgusting that they even do that. But again, the reports of myocarditis and pericarditis, particularly in young men, were known early but downplayed. That's a fact. That's disgusting. Pfizer documents released via the FOIA requests show that adverse events were acknowledged but not made public. Again, am I the only one that's disgusted by that? Why does no one care? Anyone in mainstream media or most mainstream media medical would just vilify someone for saying that. And it makes me sad because those are the people that we are supposed to trust. And the other one, risks to pregnant women. And I cannot believe that both young men or dare I say children, which is pointless because at no point, unless they had comorbidities or they already had something that was affecting them and they were already very sick, that, a minor cold was going to push them over the edge. Children and healthy adults did not need this. And the risks to pregnant women were also not fully disclosed. Studies used small, insufficient sample sizes and, but yet they had blanket assurances of safety and giving it to pregnant women. I'm just saying, I'm not saying to not trust your doctors. Again, this is not anti-medical. You need to trust your doctor. You need to trust the medical community. You need to find a way to do that. It's not about Dr. Google. You can't be your own Google. You're not a doctor, okay? But you can be informed. It used to be being informed, you were smart. Now you're just conspiracy theorist. That also drives me crazy. What I'm saying is you need to strike a balance of just being aware and understanding, and then finding a doctor you trust, and that's the best you can do. And by the way, this is nothing about the doctors. They were also in a cage. Most all of them, they have to toe the line as well, and that's a fact. So the other one that annoys me is the coercion and loss of body autonomy. Now that phrase loves to get thrown around, but that went right out the window with COVID, and workers in health, government, airlines, military, and more were all forced to get the vaccination or lose their jobs. Now, some people will say, oh, we didn't say you'd lose your job. Yeah, I've seen firsthand where they didn't have to say it, but what they said was, well, then you can just stay home and not get paid forever. How's that? That sounds like not having a job. Again, this is not about anti-medication or anti-vaccination. This is about being forced to get something that wasn't even needed as a healthy adult for fear of losing your income. And that's disgusting. And that happened. And no one seems to want to talk about it. No one cares. It's just part of history now. The vaccine was sold as a moral imperative for the greater good, despite no sterilizing immunity, meaning you could still catch and transmit COVID. Okay? They almost swore all the way up to the end until they went silent on that one, until the boosters came, until it was booster number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, booster 10, just boost them up forever. Okay? The vaccine didn't stop with you. Newsflash. And again, there was no long-term safety data. But again, it was about the pandemic. It was about your moral imperative to not think about yourself, to think about others. I get that. I'm totally on board. If it were the kind of pandemic that they sold to us, then yes. But it wasn't, folks. It wasn't. And this will come out more and more. And then, you'll get over the whole phrase of conspiracy theory. You'll just be calling, oh, okay, well, I guess they're right. What are you going to do? Well, what are you going to do? Is anyone held accountable for this stuff? So yeah, body autonomy, that was conveniently suspended, despite being, sacred in other contexts, especially when it comes to reproductive rights. I'm just saying, you say body autonomy for some, but for the rest of us, it was out. And you know what? I'm personally stressed about this, just like everyone in the world. But living in Melbourne, Australia, I think second only to China, we face some of the worst lockdowns that are still having lasting effects for generations to come on the mental health and possibly because of the rushed mRNA vaccines, possibly health issues, and that's sad. And the masks and social distancing, all based on no scientific data or just junk data, no real scientific findings at all, just sounds good, and that's the Dan Andrews government in Victoria. And again, he's living the high life. He's gonna live his life, no consequences. It drives me nuts. The other narrative is the narrative and its enforcers. So this was the thing: doctors, scientists, and professionals who raised concerns, they were deplatformed, fired, or had their licenses revoked. So again, nothing I'm saying is anti-medical. The medical community is amazing. Doctors and nurses and medical staff, they have such heart, and they use their training, and they get into those jobs. For them, it is a career, it is a passion. Maybe there's a small few that it's not, but that's like any job. For the most that I have met or worked with, they are amazing and passionate for their patients. So everything I'm saying has nothing to do with being anti-medical. And I'm telling you that some of them who did try to have a voice, or they did just want to talk about it, to simply have a conversation, an open conversation about something as severe as forcing people to get this experimental mRNA vaccine for a pandemic of COVID, which again was not affecting healthy adults like they seem to be selling us that it was. So they were deplatformed or fired, or again, license revoked, livelihood out the window. The media, big tech, even medical journals operated in lockstep, labeling dissent as disinformation. Again, I believe in open discourse and fact-finding and coming to an agreement, maybe sometimes to agree to disagree, but at least looking at the facts and having an open conversation. But no, that's disinformation. But yeah, institutions like the FDA, NIH, CDC, World Health Organization, they worked more like PR firms than scientific bodies. Did you ever get that feeling? I think they still do. They really did sell you on it. They sold you on COVID, and they sold you on the vaccine. I don't think there was a lot of honest science there. So yeah, that's quite sad that there were doctors that wanted to speak up, and they were vilified. And again, I feel bad for the doctors because a lot of what they get, the bulk of their trusted information still comes from even medical journals. And the common issue there is that many medical journals are heavily funded by pharmaceuticals, or they rely heavily on advertising, and it's all pharmaceutical advertising, supplements and reprints. So if that doesn't sound like potential bias, I can't help you. You know what I mean? When you're looking at a medical journal which is supposed to solidify scientific data and fact, which again, I'm very aware it always changes. And anyone in the medical community knows that. It's always changing. Like I said, science isn't a religion that you follow and bow to. It's something that's always evolving. So why can't we have a conversation? Why couldn't we have a conversation about the vaccine or about COVID? Because you were locked out. You were deplatformed, disinformation. Misleading statistics and public fear, that also drove me nuts. The death numbers included individuals who died with COVID, not necessarily from COVID. You understand what I'm saying? If you were 90 and you already had existing ailments, walking outside and getting a chill would have pushed you over the edge. A simple cold would have killed you. Your immune system was already compromised. COVID, the flu, things that already exist that people before were never forced to get a shot for. You were never forced to get a flu shot. Again, the flu shot is not an mRNA. The flu shot is based on dormant versions of previous influenza so that your body naturally helps build immunities. Nothing wrong with that. That makes sense. Okay? It is not, a messenger RNA actually getting into your DNA and your RNA, getting into the cells of your body. Okay? A regular vaccine, the flu vax, is not gene therapy. All right? But yeah, that's the thing. I think everyone who died from COVID, it was just everyone was ticking the box. Oh yeah, he got COVID, so he must have died of COVID. Oh, this one got COVID, died of COVID. Probably we're already on death's bed. Okay? I don't believe that healthy adults died of COVID. Healthy adults with no immunocompromised systems, no, I'm not going. I'm waiting to see the data. You tell me for real on that. Vulnerable groups, elderly, immunocompromised, were always the most at risk. Of course, they were the most at risk. Yet mass fear was weaponized to justify the broad mandates. Simple as that. Children and healthy adults forced. They faced, statistically negligible mortality risks. Negligible. Okay? Yet we were included in the mandates and the vaccine campaigns. So this is where I'm at. This is what I'm talking about. The speed of science. We had to skip all these steps to create this mRNA vaccine, experimental vaccine, and then force to give it to everyone and then vilify you if you didn't get it because it was such a huge pandemic killing only the really old and weak and immunocompromised with comorbidities. Okay, well, you should have given it to them. You should have targeted them. You should have told them not to go to work, but they wouldn't be working because they'd be old and retired and sitting in a retirement home going, oh my God, I got COVID, but my heart's already weak. My immune system's already down. Yesterday I went outside and it was raining a bit and I coughed and I almost died and had a heart attack. Give it to them. Yes, 100%. Should have given it to all the oldies all the time. Not healthy adults and not children. That was the worst. So this is what I'm saying. In the end, it comes down to the speed of science made no sense for a pandemic that wasn't a pandemic like you think it was. The at-risk were the elderly. The at-risk were the unwell, people with already on-board comorbidities. And like I say, a simple cold could have pushed them over the edge. So it comes down to all the things that have come out. Either the people who are deniers will finally realize it and they'll just go quiet, or I think some will just continue to fight. They'll continue to just deny even when it's factual, or they'll say that facts is those facts are lying. Those people are lying, and it'll be some sort of war. So in the end, look, it's a question of trust. If it were a rare disease and science offered me a cure with full disclosure of risks, I'll consider it. That's what we all do. Isn't that what we do? If you have something, this is the thing. Think about this. I'm not anti-medicine. I'm anti-lying. The doctor says I have a rare disease. More than likely, you're going to die. So that's happening. We don't have anything tried and true to fight this. But there's an experimental cure. It's experimental. It's been rushed through. There's not enough trials or data yet. See what I'm saying? There's not enough data yet to know what the side effects could be. Full disclosure of risks. Tell me the full disclosure. You could not take it, you'll be dead in a year. You could take it, but there are some risks. I'm going to go through the list. But it's possible, and we're not completely sure yet, but we're confident this could give you another decade of life, of healthy, happy life. But these are some of the side effects and risks, and I'll give you the full disclosure. Full disclosure. I'll consider it. Thank you. I'll consider it. But Sonny, it's not just about you. That's selfish. That would be if you had the disease. This was about a pandemic. You were affecting everyone. No, I wasn't. I was affecting the elderly, and I stayed away from the elderly. I didn't go and cough on old people. Stayed away from them. Happy to have worn masks around them. Happy to have made sure that I did everything I could to ensure I didn't exacerbate their issues. But as a healthy adult, I didn't need to get the COVID vaccine because I wasn't going to get pushed over the edge by it, let alone any boosters. So what I won't do is inject something into my body under false pretense, hype, and suppress data. Okay? And I just went through the list. That's what happened. False pretense, hype, and suppressed data. And possibly losing my job. Forced me to take the vaccine. And if you're all happy with that, then that's fine. You can continue being happy with that. If it takes 3 doses, ongoing boosters, and still doesn't prevent transmission, what exactly were we being sold? Well, what am I getting the boosters for? What's that doing? Again, I'm not 90. I don't have comorbidities. I'm not 1 foot in the grave. So, look, I know I get passionate about that, but I feel like, we've memory holed this. And I don't want you to. I don't want you to forget what they did. I don't want you to memory hole COVID and the COVID vaccines for those who didn't need it, for those who were forced to take it, based on the speed of science and the fact that it was not going to affect you, you were not going to die, and the COVID vaccine did nothing. In the end, so if we're calling this the speed of science, but we're ignoring the rules, silencing the critics, hiding known risks, censoring the population, was it really about science? Or was it about control? I'm just asking that question. Was it all really about science, or was it about control? That's my end thought about this, because it all sounds a lot like control. And the people who don't want to go down for it, they'll go fighting, or they'll get bought off and they'll just fade away and you'll never hear from them again. But what can I say? This is something that I think, as much as I want to put it in the past, and in many ways we have, there are certain things that are unresolved and still need to be discussed. And I just hope we discuss them, that's all, like I do on any of my shows. I hope we can have a healthy, open discourse and weigh up both sides. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Be sure to stay tuned for more great 90s rocks on Radio Motion after word from our awesome sponsors.